Mr. Joseph, we just finished watching the preview to Black in America, the technology version, at the University of Portland with a roundtable discussion and about 75 members of the community. What are your thoughts on this new version?
My thoughts on this new version are pretty much the same as my thoughts on the first three versions. Black in America doesn't do a justice to blacks in America, and there are two particular reasons why I say that. The pickings of the individuals for these shows, I don't believe, represent the larger aspects of the black diaspora here in the United States. There are talented individuals, there are well-educated individuals, there are married couples with children. We are much more than single parents, high school dropouts, and athletes. And I really believe Black in America is focused more on the stereotypical aspects of Black America rather than the realities. That's number one. Number two, there was a key statement that a gentleman made, and you guys will get an opportunity to witness this when the show airs in about a week. The gentleman made a statement that they have been in this communal group in the home working together, 8 entrepreneurs in technology field, for a week. And no one had gotten together, collaborated, and worked together. And I really do feel that it's synonymous with what goes on in the black community on a regular day-to-day basis. Actually, what's been going on for the last several decades. They accomplish in a week what we managed to accomplish on the outside in decades, is not working together. I was having this conversation with you, Monique, as well on the way over here, that you have hundreds of black organizations in every metropolitan area. There's urban leagues everywhere. There's a black chamber. There's a black MBAs. There's black this. There's black that. There's black everything. But none of those organizations work together.
So do you think that even in the film they were discussing that there's no access to capital, but it sounds as if you're saying there's no access to capital, but there's also no preparation?
There is access to capital. However, are you prepared to access it? Are you prepared to get it? You do have well-qualified individuals that may not know the means and the ways in which to go about accessing the capital. And you have individuals who have fought hard to get where they are in the black community and have that capital, but they're stingy, don't want to get, send their hand back to anybody that's coming. They want to bring up the next generation. They want to put people through a hazing as fact. We don't have time for that.
So what was your feeling on the discussion, the roundtable afterwards? It sounded as if you weren't too pleased with the outcome of the film as well as the outcome of the discussion.
The outcome of the film, though it'll definitely be entertaining for Black America and America as a whole, again, I feel it did an injustice more so than a justice. The technology field, you do have a lot of successful black engineers in that field. And I think for the caliber of individuals that they actually picked for this episode or installment of Black in America, they could have done a better job of representing the America that's really out there, the Black America that's really out there. The professional ones that are doing this, that are getting no recognition but are busting their humps on a day-to-day basis. As far as the panel discussion, a lot of great points were made on the panel discussion. I definitely will agree and say that. Points leading to education, points leading towards access to capital. One thing that is a very common discussion in the black community is throwing the words commitment and call to action. There hasn't been any action since there was a call to action. It's something that the African American business community and civic leaders community, all jokes aside, is very lazy towards doing any action or staying on target with the action. I think that we would do better redirecting our efforts towards the youth, redirecting our efforts towards education, as was mentioned, STEM education, science, technology, education, and math, or engineering and math, and really getting our kids away from basketballs and footballs in hopes of being a rapper towards engineering and science and technology, the things that are actually going to carry a culture through to the next level. Tuskegee University has been excellent in spearheading that program. As with other HBCUs, the problem with HBCUs is no marketing to actual black students. Right now, a lot of them are riding off a legacy, and again, we can't afford to do that. So there's a lot of work that needs to get done. Personally, I'm tired of seeing facts, graphs, and figures being flashed up and everyone getting riled up, and then a week later everyone forgets the conversation. So I think at this point there needs to be a lot of soul searching with the leaders of the black community. There needs to be a lot of personal investment into what you really believe is important. If you don't believe what everyone is talking about is important, that's fine. The people that do, we need to get behind them and push them into their excellence.
Right. Well, it's interesting that you say that, because one of the roundtable participants actually talked to that point. He said that he didn't think that blacks are really getting access, not just access, but he also said that he thought it was important that people pursue it on their own and they kind of get it for themselves. So do you think part of the issue is, that they're waiting for a handout instead of just, being progressive and diligent in doing what they need to do to make things happen for themselves?
I do believe that a lot of people are waiting for our handouts, but you really can't blame people because that's all that we can get. Tons of handouts, whether it's affirmative action or other programs designed to kickstart black people into doing things. If you want to see action, turn to black women. Black women are the greatest examples of how to do it well, how to manage it well, and how to keep going no matter what's going on. Whether you're pregnant, divorced, getting beat, struggling through school, got fired on the job, discriminated against, black women have always found a way to rise above every obstacle and situation that they've had. So speaking as a man that has watched a mother who has owned businesses, has been very successful, very well educated, having a father who has been a diligent white-collar worker for the last 35 years, I've had the opportunity to see both sides of the spectrum, entrepreneurship as well as being a solid, stable employee. And I can honestly say both require the same level of passion and diligence and organization and just a drive to be excellent at whatever you're doing. So if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you can't wait for handouts. The goal isn't to be a great minority-owned business. The goal is to be a great business, period. Being a minority should be an afterthought. No one should have to look at you as a black man or a black woman and put you in a category. If I'm going to do contracting work, I'm not going to take the 10% of a contract that the state or the federal government requires that they give to minorities. I want the 100% of that contract, and who's with me to get it? I think it's a real shift in mentality but I can't blame business owners as a whole. When you're used to making $30,000 to $70,000 a year and a contract's up for $250,000, it's real easy to stop there. It's real easy to say, okay, I've arrived, let me get a Mercedes and a house and I'm good.
So Sheldon, what would you tell Black America? Your closing thoughts. What would you tell Black America, Black in America, that either saw the film or saw the documentary or didn't see the documentary? What's your suggestion?
Black America needs to take their rightful place in America. This country was built on the blacks of African Americans. We were brought here to build up a nation. And since we've been free and able to vote, we've taken a back seat to leadership. We have taken a back seat to economic advancement. We've taken a back seat to educational advancement. I myself am guilty of educational advancement. I'm just now going back to school, about to be 32 years old. However, I'm going back. And I encourage anybody out there, black or our brown brothers and sisters, get what is required to be successful. I've gotten pretty far on a high school education. I always sit back and regret how much farther I could have been all along with a college degree, with a master's degree, and with a PhD. So don't stop and get comfortable where you are. We don't have the opportunity, or we don't have the luxury of being comfortable. We shouldn't have been comfortable from the beginning. If you're brought somewhere or you're in a situation that's foreign to you and your back's against the wall and it seems like there's no way to advance and move forward, trust in God and remember that you can move forward.
Thank you so much for your thoughtfulness, your candidness, And this concludes the first episode of the new Black in America.
Thank you.